So, when you hear financial advice for your 20s, what comes to mind? Probably stuff like saving, budgeting, maybe dabbling in stocks, right? But what if a self-made millionaire told you the smartest things you can buy are travel, tailored clothes, and maybe even a Rolex? We're diving into the pretty unconventional spending guide from entrepreneur Iman Gaji. Let's break it down. Right off the bat, Gaji makes it clear this is not your parents' financial advice. He made and spent millions before he was even 23, so his perspective is coming from a very different place. He's lived it, and he says he knows exactly what purchases are a total waste and which ones can actually change your life. Instead of just giving us a random list, Gaji's advice is way better understood as a pyramid. We're going to start at the bottom with the absolute essentials, the foundation, and build our way up to his most strategic and, most controversial purchase. Think of it as a roadmap for where your money should go first. All right, so let's get into it, starting with the base of that pyramid. You see, before you can even think about spending money to grow, you've got to stop the financial bleeding. Then, and only then, can you plant the seeds for your future. It's all about locking down that foundation. So what's the absolute first thing Gaji says to spend your money on? Well, actually nothing. Instead, he says every single spare dollar you have needs to be a heat-seeking missile aimed directly at high-interest debt. He's especially fired up about credit card debt, calling it priority number one to eliminate from your life. And here's why. The numbers are just staggering. With average interest rates hitting over 21%, you're paying more in interest than you could ever realistically hope to make from an investment. Gaji calls it a living nightmare that can totally derail your future if you don't attack it head-on. Okay, so once the destructive debt is gone, the other half of your foundation is about building a positive habit. And listen, the key here isn't about trying to get rich quick. It's about making investing so automatic, so second nature, that you don't even have to think about it. So how do you do that? The secret is to start small. Gaji is a huge fan of dollar cost averaging. Just pick an amount, even $50 a month is perfect, and invest it like clockwork, every single month, no matter what the market is doing. See, the goal isn't the total amount you have today. It's about building that discipline so that when you can invest $500 or $5,000 a month, the habit is already locked in. All right, our financial base is secure. Now we can move up to the next level of the pyramid, which is all about investing in the most important asset you have, yourself. But this isn't just about reading a few books. It's about actively buying things that turn you into what Gaji calls a person of substance. You see, his whole philosophy is that your 20s are for building your character, your skills, and your stories. Money without that substance is just empty. I mean, you could be making $1 million a year, but if you have zero experiences or skills outside of your job, have you really built true wealth? He breaks this down into 4 key areas where spending money directly builds up this personal capital. These aren't expenses, They are true investments in your future self, covering everything from your career to your character. First up, don't just buy a course, buy the tools you need to actually practice a high-income skill. For him, at 15, it was buying a camera. That led to photography gigs, then videography, and eventually his multi-million-dollar agency. Want to get good at sales? He says go spend money on improv classes to build your confidence. The tool is what opens the door to the skill. Next, he makes a really passionate case for spending money on travel, but probably not the kind you're picturing. He's not talking about 5-star resorts. He means trekking through remote countries, really immersing yourself in new cultures and collecting stories. He truly believes the perspective you gain from that is way more valuable in your 20s than pinching every single penny. Now let's talk about style. He draws a super sharp line between dressing to look rich versus dressing to feel confident. So forget the huge flashy logos that are just screaming for attention. Instead, spend that money on timeless, classic pieces. And here's the secret sauce. Spend $20 or $30 to get them tailored. He argues that a perfectly fitting, even inexpensive outfit projects way more confidence and makes people treat you differently. This one might actually surprise you. Gaji says you should hire a coach for a hobby that has absolutely nothing to do with making money. Think tennis or skiing or even chess. So why would you do that? Because it builds discipline, and more importantly, it forces you to embrace being a total beginner again, a feeling you can lose when you get good at your job. He says it's like a reset button that revitalizes your energy for everything else. All right, we've built our foundation, we've invested in ourselves, and now we've arrived at the very peak of the pyramid, the power move. This is without a doubt Gaji's most advanced and, definitely his most controversial piece of advice. So let's just frame it with a direct question. Is buying a $15,000 Rolex just a massive, frivolous waste of money? Or could it actually be a strategic financial move? Well, Gaji argues it's the latter, but only if you understand one absolutely critical distinction.
And that distinction is the difference between spending money and parking it. Spending is like buying a brand new car that loses half its value the second you drive it off the lot. Parking your money is putting it into an asset, like a very specific model of a Rolex or a Patek Philippe, that actually holds its value or in some cases even goes up over time.
But hold on. Before we go any further, he lays down a very strict, non-negotiable rule. You should not even think about doing this unless you have at least $30,000 in liquid cash completely separate from the price of the watch. This is not for beginners. It is an advanced tactic for sure.
So why on earth would you do it? Well, he's brutally honest about it. In certain business circles, a specific watch is a tool for instant status and credibility. It becomes a conversation starter that can pull you into entirely different social circles with other collectors and high net worth people. He's not romantic about it at all. He's super pragmatic, basically saying, it sucks, but it's just the way the world is. For him, it's just a key to a door that might otherwise stay closed.
So there you have it, the full pyramid. It all starts with that solid foundation, killing debt and building an investing habit. From there, you use your money to build your personal capital, your skills, experiences, and discipline. And only then, once all that is in place, do you even consider the strategic power move at the very top. Ultimately, Gaji's entire framework really just boils down to a single question you can ask yourself. Is your next purchase just an expense that's going to disappear, or is it an investment that's going to build something of lasting value? Whether that's your financial future, your character, or your network, it's definitely something to think about.